Hi, this is Rory. I'm back with another video today. Today I want to talk about the World Cup that's been held in Qatar in 2022. Now, when I first heard about this World Cup being held in Qatar, I was pretty puzzled, to be honest with you. I mean, it doesn't really make sense that they'd hold it there. I know the Middle East has never had a World Cup before, but it just seems a little bit strange that they put it in Qatar. And I've got a list of reasons why I am going to boycott the World Cup. Now, the World Cup in 2022 is 7 years away. Well, 7.5 years away. And I'll be 37 when that World Cup comes along. So it's quite a while from now. But I'm going to give you a list of reasons why I don't think that Qatar should be holding the World Cup in the first place, and the reasons why I'm going to boycott that World Cup. And I really don't want to watch it for various reasons. Now, the first reason is the treatment of migrant workers that are going to be building the stadiums. Actually, I think are at the moment in the process of helping construct the stadium. Now, these migrant workers come from countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nepal, and they tend to be from the poorest parts of those countries. And basically, they're cheap labour, and they work for very little money. The same thing has been happening in Dubai as well, building all the hotels and all the infrastructure there. Now, these migrant workers get paid very little money, and not only do they get paid very little money, they also live in pretty appalling conditions. The passports are taken off them. They're essentially slaves. They're essentially slaves to the people that are contracted to the contractors, the people that build the stadiums. Now, this is the 21st century, and I don't think it's right that 30 or 40 people are packed into a small room. They're paid very little money. They're treated like crap. The long working hours, and they're nowhere near the stadiums. They're nowhere near. They're put into a camp somewhere away from the major city. I think it's Doha in Qatar. They'll be put in somewhere else, and some other area where they're not going to bother the rich people that live in there. They're kind of hidden away, and it's not very well. It's against human rights, in my opinion. Another reason is the bribery of FIFA officials. Now, Qatar, I think, was given 13 votes. I think was given 70 or 80% of the votes for the 2022 World Cup. Now, something doesn't add up there, because it's not, like I say, it's only got 2 million people, the population of the country. So it's not really a place that's synonymous with football. I would have given the World Cup to Australia in 2022. I would have given it to Australia. They've got better infrastructure. They've already got a lot of the stadiums built. They're actually half decent at football and have qualified for previous World Cups, whereas Qatar have never qualified for a World Cup. They're ranked below 100, about 120th in the world, 130th in the world. Not the worst team in the world, but they're never going to qualify for a World Cup unless they host the event. And if you think well, maybe the Middle East hasn't had a World Cup, or that part of the world hasn't had a World Cup, well, I'd rather give it to Saudi Arabia, to be honest with you, because at least they've qualified for quite a few World Cups, and at least they are half decent at football. Even the UAE, even the city, obviously Dubai's in the UAE, but I'd even give it to them, because they actually are okay at football. And the UAE, United Arab Emirates, did qualify for a World Cup in, I think it was 1986, and they've got some players that play in Europe, and they are a decent side. They're an okay side. So I'd rather have given it to them than Qatar, because Qatar are shit at football, let's be honest with you. They're not very good. And also, we know that the FIFA officials have been bribed. There's been allegations of bribery, and I agree that there has been bribery, because just giving it to a nation that has no footballing tradition, and the amount of votes that they received, it just doesn't make sense. And obviously Qatar is an oil-rich nation, and I'm sure there's some bribery going on there, because there's some very, very rich people that would like to see the World Cup being hosted there. And there has been allegations of certain people within FIFA being bribed, and I wouldn't be surprised if those allegations were true. And I think it's been proven that some of these FIFA officials have been bribed. As I say, Qatar have never even been to a World Cup, and also they're building all these new stadiums, and six of the stadiums are actually in one city, in Doha, the capital, and it's just you're building all these stadiums from scratch, and when the World Cup finishes, well, who's going to use them? There's nobody's going to use them. There's only 10 football clubs in Qatar, professional football clubs. Nobody's going to use these stadiums when they might even deconstruct them and get rid of them after the World Cup. But what's the point in building? What's the point in building them if you're not going to use them afterwards? It's like a rich person's playground. Somebody just wants to. The people that live there, millionaires, oil barons, they want the World Cup there just as just because they're playing around with the money. There's no legacy after that World Cup. Like I say, the temperature as well is 50 degrees in Qatar in the summer. Now they are thinking of moving it to the winter, and this is another problem. They want to move it to the winter. Well, the World Cup's played in the summer. It's not played in the winter. You're disrupting all the European football leagues. Just to suit the fact that you want it to be in Qatar. You're changing all the rules around, and it just stinks of bribery and corruption, the whole thing. And also it does have human rights abuses as well, and homosexuality is illegal in the country. So the tolerance of the there's going to be gay people going to the events from different parts of the world. I mean, we're trying to kick homosexuality. Sorry, not kick homosexuality out of football, but we're trying to kick homophobia out of football. There's very few footballers that have come forward that are actually, I've said that they're gay, and this is another thing. This is making it even harder for them to, if you're not going to accept people for who they are, then you can't be hosting a World Cup. So yeah, it's a stupid idea to have Qatar as a World Cup host, and I hope something happens, and Australia is given the 22 World Cup, because that's where it should have gone. It should have gone to Australia. It shouldn't have gone to Qatar. America were in the running as well. USA were in the running, but they did host it in 1994. So I don't think they should have got it that year. England, they were in the running for the 2018 World Cup, which went to Russia. And fair enough, Russia, I know there's a bit of political problems there, but it's a better place to have the World Cup than Qatar. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I'll be making another video soon. Bye.